Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. I got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. They call him the boat. Let me throw that in there. Make sure you get that signature. But man, it's been a hot day today here in the H, man. We still rolling. We still rolling. How you feel, dog?
I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. It's been so hot. I have every fan in my house on. I got the AC cranked down to 60 just to try to cool this place out. Because it's about like, what, 101 outside today, I think? Something like that. And it's been hot. H-O hot.
It's crazy, man. I was just looking at the PGA Championship just yesterday, and they were playing right at San Francisco. 65 degrees. Can you believe that? 65 degrees in California. And I'm like, man, what is going on here? You know what I mean? But it's been like that forever, man. I grew up here in Houston, and it's been hot since day one. And I used to always say, man, you learn to get used to it. As I get older, I'm trying to think about where can I move? Colorado, somewhere Canada, probably Canada opposed to Colorado. There's too much going on in Colorado. I'm thinking might get to Canada, man. But I tell you, man, it is definitely hard trying to beat the heat here in the H, bro. We need some kind. I got this little thing called a cool breeze. It looked like a like one of the big mugs, like one of those otter,
something,
one of those coolers, one of those big drink coolers. But it's got a gimmick on the top of it, and it like blows air, and it's got these gimmicks that go inside that you put in the freezer that, and then you put ice on top of it, and it actually works pretty good.
Cool. What is it called?
It's called a cool breeze.
Cool breeze.
Yeah. Charmel, I saw it and I said, baby, order me one of them. And then she said, the second one you get like 70% off if you get two of them. I said, all right, well, give me two of them. So I got one on standby, kind of like the hoverboard. I got like 3 hoverboards in the garage that has never been opened, straight from Japan. I mean, the high dollar ones, man. I say, man, if one break, I could break out the others, I could get through a lifetime, of never having to walk again.
You were so sad when they airports banned the hoverboards. I remember, but can I tell this? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you were riding them in all the arenas because you were doing raw commentary at the time. You were going to every arena riding the hoverboard, and when they stopped letting you take them on the plane, didn't you put them on like the WWE trailers?
Yeah, I put one on the truck. Yeah, and told them just make sure you get it to the arena. And long as I get there, especially, I'm gonna tell you right there, especially at WrestleMania, at the WrestleMania venues, man. I mean, to get from the locker room to catering, man, that's a chore, bro. And if you don't have one of those golf carts, actually, getting you back and forth, you're gonna be in trouble. So I tell you, so many guys envious of me when I was rolling around on that hoverboard, going from one spot to the next on my phone, everything. Just definitely a easy day for me. Those guys were hating. Actually, a few of the guys went and got them hoverboards and did the same thing. Put them on the truck, bro. You don't never want to leave. You never want to leave home without it. That's what I'd say, man. I'm serious. Yeah,
like an Amex card. But yeah, I thought that was so fun. I remember. I think it was Triple H when we were backstage. You were riding around the hoverboard, and he said, "Book, if you figure out, some adult diapers, you don't even have to worry about going to the restroom while you're here either. You don't have to walk. You don't have to do anything."
Hey, bro, I'm serious, man. I told, I can't remember who that was. I told him, I said, man, I will never ever walk again.
Triple H at the same time.
Goldberg. I remember Goldberg. He got on my case a little bit about it. You remember that? He was talking about you need to. Walk more, because that's exercise. And I'm like, man, I exercise when I go to the gym. You know what I mean? Walking is not exercise. That's a necessity. That's something that you got to do. You know what I mean? But as far as exercising for me is going to the gym, hitting it hard. And I've been hitting it hard lately, man. I've been hitting the gym hard lately, just trying to stay on top of my game, man, because you never know, man. You never know when, that knock. You know what I mean? The phone might ring. Anything might happen. And you might see BT, back in action again, doing something. You never know, man. You got to stay ready. You know what I mean?
You got to stay ready. By the way, these YouTube commenters, they kill me. And I don't even know why I read them. But, they always got some shots for me. They'll have some shots for you. But you do not. Have you seen what people have been saying you look like? First, it was the Iron Sheik, and now when you come with your hair up and you have the beard, have you heard what people have been saying you look like?
Oh, what's that?
They said, "Why does Booker look like Kimbo Slice's cousin?" I'm like, "He doesn't look like Kimbo Slice."
I'm gonna tell you right there, Kimbo Slice is a ruggedly handsome man. You know what I mean? He was. I'm serious. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't know, too many ladies that wouldn't see Kimbo as a ruggedly handsome man. And I look at myself, somewhat similar, ruggedly, handsome, and check all the boxes and there above. So if people want to say that, man, let them say it, man. The beard is blooming. As you guys can see, I got the handlebars turned up, and I'm just letting it grow, man. I'm just letting it just feel and do its own thing. You know what I mean? Right now, I'm feeling good about the beard action. I remember back in the day before I had one, I would ask all the bearded guys, I'd say, man, how's the beard working for you? And they always say, man, I love it. You know what I mean? And that right there is what made me just want to say, well, let me try this. You know what I mean? You never know. And me personally, like I said, I never knew if I can grow a beard. And now, like I say, it seems like it's something that I shouldn't have never been without.
It has turned into an identifier, hasn't it? It's like your hair. It's an identifier. I can't imagine you without the beard.
Hey, man, I can only imagine King Booker with a beard. Beard and the crown scepter. That right there, brother. That made me feel a certain way just thinking about it. I had the little gimmick, coming right down the middle as king, and it looked cool. It looked very, very kingly.
Soul patch kind of thing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, man, if I could have added a little bit more to the gimmick, man, you're always looking for something that just shine. Hey, man, speaking of gimmicks, man, speaking of guys, the Ugandan warrior Kamala passed away. Kamala was a trailblazer here in Houston, Mid-South Wrestling. The Ugandan warrior, Kamala, with Kim Chi as his manager back then. Kim Chi didn't do nothing but, wore a white mask, and he looked mysterious. And the gimmick just definitely.
Well, he looked like a safari guy with a mask on, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I tell you, Kamala definitely made us feel a certain way when he went out there and performed. He's a trailblazer for the African-American wrestlers that came after him. He definitely left a mark in this business that's going to be literally remembered, throughout the history and the annals of time as far as wrestling go. And I just want to say, Kamala, you definitely inspired me to go out and be the best I possibly could be. And there again, rest in peace, brother.
Yeah, I saw the news yesterday, and he was 70 years of age. Not an old man by any stretch of the imagination. He came out of Memphis, right? Didn't Jerry Lawler start Kamala?
Yep.
Yeah. And I first saw him at the WrestleMania in Houston, 01. He was actually on that card. He was in the gimmick battle royal, and they brought all the old guys who had like the gimmicks back to do this battle royal. I think Iron Sheik was in it, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Brother Love, Sergeant Slaughter, the Gobbledygooker, all kinds of people. The Goon, Duke the Dumpster Dro. Everybody was in it. And that was the first time I saw Kamala, the Ugandan giant, came out with Kimchi. Kimchi, I think, was with him.
Yeah.
And so then they bring him into Raw every now and then. He'd be on TV. But I didn't get to see the run that Kamala had. And from everything that I read and from everything I've always heard, he had a run. Like as a legit main event guy, especially in Memphis against Lawler.
No, he was a guy that worked at the top of the card, man. When you thought about Kamala, you say, oh, man, somebody's going to be getting hurt tonight. He rivaled, along that same line as a guy like Abdullah the Butcher. Those guys, their name rang very, very loud in the wrestling business, still to this day. And I just, definitely remember that man being in Sam Houston Coliseum, walking down that aisle and kids running, for the rafters, trying to get away from Kamala, man. And that's what let me know, that he definitely did his job, because he made me feel a certain way when I watched him come out and perform. I didn't look at Kamala like a gimmick wrestler or anything like that. I actually thought Kamala was from Uganda. And I thought he was some kind of African king or something over there and just came to America and said, I'm going to make some money. But hey, guys, man, we got a whole lot to talk about some UFC, some WWE, a little, perhaps some AEW as well. We got to talk about that. Hey, guys, stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. We just rolling down 45 South, trying to get to exit 2351 so we can get to the highs. That's wait a minute. That's where I'm at.
We were talking about, the legends, right? And Kamala was, of course, a legend. And like I said, the Mid-South is where a lot of people were talking. When I was reading stuff about him, people were like, man, you should have seen him in Mid-South and Memphis. He was the biggest guy that you could have ever imagined. And it made me, think about the legends of certain territories. And then I saw this today, and I wanted to get your reaction to it. There was a lot of talk when y'all had Bret Hart on the watch along. You were talking about Mount Rushmore. Everyone always talk about Mount Rushmore. Well, this was floating around today about the Mount Rushmore of World Championship Wrestling. And this is the consensus picks. I want to get Booker T's reaction to the Mount Rushmore of WCW. Here it is right now. So you have Goldberg, Diamond Dallas Page, Booker T, and Sting. That is the Mount Rushmore of WCW, and that's a pretty cool drawing. I got to give the guy a shout out. His name's Michael something, but I got to give him a shout out because that's a pretty cool piece of art. But what do you think? Is that accurate? Is that the Mount Rushmore of WCW?
Probably, yeah. I mean, of WCW, it would be different if it was NWA. Back when I used to watch, TBS, NWA was on there, and then you had guys like Dusty and that era of guys. But when it comes to WCW, of course, Sting would be a guy that's front and center. I would say, really, because Sting was kind of like the franchise of that company for so many years. And then you got a guy like Goldberg who came in there and just totally flipped the script. You know what I mean? Just turned everything upside down. So and then you got Diamond Dallas Page, who's a guy who, say what you will about Diamond Dallas Page, but his legacy is measured more than his in-ring. I'm proud. I just feel that way. And then you put me on that list. It's hard for me to actually put myself on the list. But just to give you a little feedback on it, man, I started at the bottom of that company, and I ended at the top of it. I ended the last person standing in that company as the United States champion and the world champion, and it set me up, for bigger and better things. But as far as my contributions to WCW, as far as tag team champion history, me and my brother go down as the longest, most reigning tag team in WCW, television champion, United States champion, television champion, world heavyweight champion. I don't know too many people in that company that did more than I did. I wouldn't say other than guys like Ric Flair, You know, I mean, I give Ric Flair his props, but I don't know too many guys that gave more than I did for WCW. Even when the people didn't know I was giving, I was working my ass off to become the guy in that locker room, the guy that, you know, that they could go to, not knowing that I would ever get that chance. I was still preparing myself, even if that chance ever was to come my way, and then to be ready for it. And I think I did pretty good as champ. A lot of people say, well, WCW was in its decline, you know, when I became champ. I've seen postings of, you know, Booker T only became champion because of affirmative action. So I've seen a lot of
people, though. You know people.
No, but I'm serious. You know what I mean? But I mean, I take it, I hear it, but I don't pay too much attention to it. I know what I did in that company, and I know what I did for so many guys in that company to try to bring them up at the same time. So to see me on that list, man, I'm like Barry Horowitz. You know, I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for something like that. Hey, I'm gonna take.
Well, you know, and here's what the other thing about WCW is: people think that you won all 5 titles in WCW. Didn't you win only 4, and then you won your 5th in WWE?
Yeah, I won 4 in WCW, and then the 5th in
WWF.
I've done the World Championship in WWE as well. But you know,
So you had 2 world title runs in WWF.
Yeah. My career pretty much speaks for itself. My stats pretty much speaks for themselves. And I always say, hey man, go to the stats. Don't go to the people that's talking about who was the greatest or who was the best. Go to the stats, and you go, man, Booker T won 35 championships throughout his tenure in professional wrestling. I don't know too many guys that did that. I had a title more than the time that I was in the wrestling business. Every time you saw Booker T, just about, I would say 80% of the time, I had a title around my waist, no matter whether it was tag team, no matter what it was. So that let me know that I was a player, and I was a guy, you know, that you know, should have been put in that position. I was looking at a post from a good friend of mine just a couple of weeks ago. In the post that read, you know, you was the MVP of WCW, and he goes, no, my friend, I think, you know, I beg to differ. Booker T was the MVP of WCW at the end, and that was my friend Lance Storm, a guy that I've had many, many matches with, and for him to recognize me as that guy is pretty cool because your peers, they know. And most of my peers that ran with me back in the day, man, they knew what my heart was, and they knew what my head was, and they knew when we got in that middle of that square circle, man, we was going to go out there and we was going to try to create magic. All of them, you know, and I appreciate those guys that, you know, put me in that position to actually get where I did. I remember I'm going to the Hall of Fame at the Cauliflower Alley, and I think the Cuban Assassin, and Cuban Assassin, he could, what up? You know what I mean? Because ain't too many people giving guys like Cuban Assassin love, because that guy, man, put me and my brother over, you know, so many times. You know what I mean? I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. So when I see guys like that, I always thank them and say, hey, man, I appreciate you know what you did for my career. You know, Ricky, man, I appreciate what you, and he know what I'm talking about. Appreciate what you did for my career. And that's the stuff, you know, that people really don't understand when they're watching it from the outside looking in. They don't really understand how serious it really is, that even getting there, it takes more than yourself. Take a lot of people around you to actually rally around you and say, hey, man, we're going to put the rocket on this guy and send him straight to the moon. You know, guys like Maniac Mike Davis. I appreciate Maniac Mike Davis because, man, he said, man, you're going to do it. You're going to be, I just want people to understand that, but not to, you know, rattle off too hard.
No. I hear you. You got to give props to the people who got you in the positions, you know, and you've always been one to show love. But to go back to the Mount Rushmore, is there anybody who else who you think should, if so you said it's hard for you to put yourself up there. So let's take you off. Let's take you off Mount Rushmore. Who goes in that 4th spot? If it's Goldberg, Sting, DDP, who else would you put in that 4th spot? Because there are some names that were left off. You said Flair a minute ago. I think Flair has got his place in WCW history. Hollywood Hogan, Kevin Nash.
Nah, no. See
No.
that I don't look at those guys as true WCW guys.
Okay.
Only Ric Flair, I look at him as a true WCW guy, but Nash and Hogan, them guys was coming for a check. You feel me?
They're getting big money to come over.
Get that big money, man. And look here, I don't blame them. The thing is, if I was them, I would have did the exact same thing, man. I would have took the money grab. I'd have took off like a rabbit up out of that company, man, out of New York City, man. It went to Atlanta, Georgia. But
here's one. What do you think of this? This is gonna be controversial. What do you think on the Mount Rushmore WCW, Eric Bischoff?
No.
Why not? I mean, the 83 weeks, right? He's got to be in the conversation.
No, he's not in the conversation. Guys like that, that haven't put in time in the ring, wrestling for years, they don't deserve ever to be even mentioned in the thought of going up on a Mount Rushmore. That's just my opinion on that.
I hear you.
Might want to create some kind of other Mount Rushmore for, I don't even want to, but the thing is, like I say, Eric Bischoff did a lot for me, did a lot for my career. But I always say that when business and pleasure starts, co-mingling with each other, it's going to be a problem. When Eric Bischoff, there again, he did a lot for my career, but when Eric Bischoff stopped being the president, stopped being the boss, and wanted to start being one of the boys, start wanting to be one of the talent on the show, that's when everything got clouded. Everything, judgment totally didn't come into play in certain instances because you got a lot of guys around you that you think that are your friends. So he, in essence, what I'm trying to say is Eric Bischoff shouldn't have never been in position to even be considered to being a part of a Mount Rushmore. That's just my opinion.
I hear you. So then who do you put in that fourth spot? Vader
was
he's more of an NWA WCW guy, but
yeah, he came from back, the Baby Bull White. He had been around way before WCW ever came along. Ron Simmons, I will put Ron Simmons in there. If I had to put a guy up there, and I'm not saying it because he's black or anything like that. I'm saying it because he was the first black world champion that I ever had to look up to, and Ron Simmons was a badass in WCW, no doubt. I didn't think anybody could legitimately beat up Ron Simmons in a real fight in that company if he didn't let him. That's just the way I looked at Ron Simmons. So yeah, I would look at him and say Ron Simmons definitely should be on the Mount Rushmore of the original WCW because he was there. He saw it. He did it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And Book, you said badass. You know what else is badass? These masks that we got in the mail. These masks that were sent over, these Boomer Naturals, man.
Yeah, sweet black one, man. And I tell you, it's sweet. It really is.
Well, let's hear from our new sponsor, the Boomer Naturals, right now. Hey, we all need a mask, so check this out.
Hey, Brad, one of the biggest changes we're all dealing with right now is wearing a mask, and not all offer the same comfort and protection. I recommend the Boomer Natural 3-layer comfortable and highly breathable mask. These come in sizes for adults, teens, and children, and are in stock and be shipped to you quick.
Yeah, Book, one of the reasons they're so highly protective is because of the nano silver technology that's literally woven right into the fabric. Nano silver can block those tiny drops and particles from getting into the nose and mouth, and that's what we want right now. It's the best protection out there. Boomer also offers the popular nano silver neck gaiters. That's a mask that'll cover your neck and face. Another great thing is that Boomer will donate one face cover for every order to nonprofits and charities, helping tens of thousands of Americans in need. And I got to say, I love that.
Yeah, order now at boomernaturals.com. Use promo code Booker and save 20%. That code Booker at boomernaturals.com. Get free shipping and handling when you spend at least $50 online at boomernaturals.com.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Yeah, man. You got to get the extra large mask if you're gonna get one. And I just want to make sure, Booming Naturals, make sure you guys send me a box of them, man, because I don't know how long this pandemic is going to last. And the extra large actually covers my whole beard. Actually, I look like I got a full beard with the extra large on, and don't mess my look up. You know, you got to kind of make me look kind of like the Lone Ranger a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a fan of mine too.
Just on a political note, you know, I hate to talk about politics or anything like that. President was having a speech, a conference today. Did you see Secret Service guy shot somebody outside the White House today?
What?
Yes, during the press conference, 2 shots, bing, yeah, to the hospital. I don't know what the total details. It's still sketchy, but yeah, they had to whisk President Trump out of the press conference, get him back, lock him down for a minute, and shots fired outside the White House, and Secret Service actually shot somebody today. And the thing is, that I don't know if it is. We got to do some research. But I don't know. I'm 55 and I've been around for a lot of presidents being inside the White House. I ain't never heard of the Secret Service firing their weapon outside the White House and hitting somebody and then going to the hospital. Perhaps they even may have died. We don't even know yet.
Yeah. I don't remember that ever happening outside the White House. Of course, Reagan was shot.
Reagan was shot, but not
the White House.
Yeah.
And this is somewhat political and it's kind of humorous. We were talking about Kamala Harris, not Kamala Harris earlier. We're talking about Kamala Ugandan giant, but when no, listen, when when the news came out about Kamala, the Ugandan giant, #1 trend on Twitter was RIP Kamala. And so when people were clicking on it, I was reading through tweets. Everybody thought, the non-wrestling fans, everyone thought it was Kamala Harris, and people were losing their minds. They're like, "What happened?"
It's crazy.
And if you had to be on game to be, if you were a wrestling fan, you knew what they were talking about. But yeah, it's a crazy world. But again,
I heard that reference between her and Kamala before, and it definitely wasn't anything that was flattering or anything like that.
So, I haven't heard that. I just know what people were saying on Twitter. People were freaking out.
Just the way people are, man. That's just the way people are. But crazy, man. Outside the White House, Secret Service double tap. You know what I mean? I don't know. I got to find out I know it's kind of sketchy, but I got to find out exactly what the hell happened outside the White House to where, somebody get blasted like that. But on another note, man, speaking of getting blasted, AEW Dynamite went down last week. Sammy Guevara versus Matthew Hardy. And I tell you, man, it was a shot, as far as I'm concerned, heard around the wrestling business. Big chair to the forehead of Matthew Hardy. And the thing is, I don't even feel bad about calling him Matthew Hardy, because I call him Matthew all the time. I see him, what's up, Matthew? But the chair shot, man, to the head from young talent Sammy Guevara, former reality of wrestling student. Man, what a shot. And I tell you, hard weighed, I think they said 10 to 12 stitches or something like that. The blood was flowing, man. I mean, it literally was a pool of blood around his head on the table, and it was a quick shot of it. I don't know if you saw that. And they didn't go back to it, but it was a really horrific, literally a blood spot around his head before the big 450 off the ramp through the table spot. Now, a lot of people saw that and said, "Man, AEW, man, these guys are moving, at a fast pace." Just a week before, I think someone else went in the ring and got colored up as far as a lot of blood and whatnot. And then the following week, this happened with Sammy. Like I say, I don't think that was on purpose or anything like that. It looked to be an accident, but in the business, accidents happen. And that's one thing I'm sure Matt Hardy understands. I'm sure he understood when that happened. He go, ow, man. You know, he didn't expect that to happen. And there again, safety in wrestling is something that, you know, we got to have as well. But as far as, you know, what should happen, you know, to Sammy Guevara for something like that, you know, mistake going awry, you know, and me personally, I say nothing should happen. You know what I mean? You give him a stern talking to and say, kid, what the hell are you doing? What are you thinking about? You know what I mean? You can't do that. Okay. You know, don't do it again. But man, it looked great. It's good for the business. And that's what, you know, used to happen back in the day when something like that would happen. Of course, you know, we would talk about it and say, hey, man, that is never to happen again that way. All right. That's not what we do. But on the other hand, man, it's going to look good on TV. You know, Matt, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Give him a little bonus this week. It's one of those type of deals. It really is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here. I don't know. You know, a lot of people might say one thing. A lot of people might say the other. But me personally, I give the benefit of the doubt in a situation like this because he's a young kid. He's getting into business. He may not have been explained properly before we went out there. He may have got, you know, caught up in the moment. He might have panicked. Anything could have happened.
Right.
But I'm not going to, you know, just, you know, beat on it and beat on it and beat on it, you know, and harp on it because there again, accidents happen all the time in the wrestling business. Sometimes we do it to ourselves. You know, look at Sid Vicious. You know, he jumped off the rope, you know, boom, he, you know, broke his leg. You know, everybody saw it in front of the world. It's an accident. You know what I mean? Do you scold Sid Vicious for going up to the top? You say, man, just don't ever do that ever again because that's not good for you. It's not good for me because now there's money, you know, going out of my pocket because you're going to be off for the next year. You know, so it's one of those type of deals, man, and that's the way. That's the way I look at it.
I agree. The thing is, the first thing I thought of is when I saw it is at Reality Wrestling, we have a pretty strict no chair shot to the head policy, right? It's to the back or whatever, right? And I remember one time one of our guys did it in the heat of the moment, and you understood, and you said exactly what you just said. Hey, are you all right? You are? Hey, don't ever do that again. But it helped the match. But don't do it again. You know what I mean? Don't do it again.
Yeah.
But for me, when I see a mistake or not, it always makes me feel a certain way. And I remember when I was a kid, they didn't do anything to me because I didn't understand. But now that everything we know about, concussions and what have you, all the stuff Chris Nowinski's done, and then watching the documentary that Rob Van Dam did. You remember was it called Headstrong? I think.
Yeah.
And all the issues that he dealt with taking shots like that and giving those to people. And then you think about the Rock and Mick Foley at the Royal Rumble, the 27 chair shots to the head in a row or whatever it was. It makes me so uncomfortable to see. And here's the thing. I don't think it makes it better. I don't like to see it. It makes me say, oh my God, what is this guy doing? But I'm looking at it from I know people like this. I wouldn't want to see it happen in my friend vibe. I'm sure on the television audience, it was like ECW, that old school vibe. But I hope it doesn't happen again. But the thing is, like you said, accidents occur all the time. And it's never with malice or ill intent. It's just parts of going out there and being in a physical environment like y'all are. I'm sure that it's happened before, Book, where you hit somebody a little bit too hard. Oop, didn't mean that one, I didn't mean to. That suplex, I dropped it a half second early. He came down on his shoulders more than his back. Stuff like that happens. And I'm sure within the industry, y'all have a camaraderie about it. You understand. But just like you said, don't let it happen again.
No, man. I mean, it's one of those things, man. I'm working stiff, working snug. I remember my brother and I, we working in Japan, and those Japanese guys were really, really snug on us, man. And we American wrestlers, and then, after couple of beat downs by the Japanese wrestlers, and we wasn't really getting over either. And me and my brother, we got back to the hotel and we just, made a pact. And we said, man, we're going to kill everybody we get in the ring with from now on. All right. No more taking pity on these guys, man. Screw the spots. All right. Just whack them. All right. And my brother and I, we went out and did the move. My brother picked up a guy for the, power bomb. And then I come off the top rope with an elbow and we broke the guy's rib. And, man, those Japanese wrestlers, man, we got a good scolding. But they loved us from that minute on, man. They said, man, you are guys, you are guys, you know what I mean? So I was like, man, what happened? You know what I mean? So when stuff like that happened, man, it's not ballet. It's bound to happen, especially if you're passionate at what you do, and Guevara, he seemed to be really passionate about going out there and getting over. That's what that kid's all about, man. He's like, man, I'm going to get my time in the sun.
Damn straight though.
And if someone's in front of me, I got to step on some toes, and I got to step on some toes and keep on walking. And the thing is, I'll apologize back in the back. I'm sorry, dog. I didn't mean for that to happen. And that's the wrestling business. But I must say, I saw a lot of the comments. And we may have watched it one way, all right, and say, man, we got to be more careful and whatnot. But from the 100 or so comments that I read, man, those fans, just like they ate ECW up, they can tend to want to eat that kind of stuff up. Somewhat of a cult figure, in this business by going out there and creating havoc and doing stuff like that. And I'm just hoping the wrestling business don't, veer totally that way. But one thing about people, man, they know what they want to see. And if you give it to them, they will come back every time. And so I just say, man, looking at it going forward, Matt Hardy knows, Matt Hardy's a veteran. Matt Hardy's a guy that's been around the track a few times. I'm sure Matt Hardy told the kid, hey, man, we could have got just as much out of that, if we would have just did the flip. You know what I'm saying? But that's just the way the business go. And there again, also, I say it all the time. When you have a moment, you know what I mean? You got to utilize that moment. You got to capitalize off that moment, and because you're never going to get that moment back. What just happened with him and with Matt Hardy, and I'm gonna tell you that angle can really, really get hot after something like that, and people can tend to want to tune in just to see if he's going to get some payback and some redemption, retribution. That's what life's really, really all about. So, I'm wondering there again, on the other hand, just flip the coin a second with WWE and Pat McAfee and Adam Cole. You know what I mean? They had a moment there on the, Pat McAfee show where, me personally, I bought in. I thought it could have been a real moment. And the thing is, still to this day right now, I don't know if it was real or not. But but I told you, I don't know if you remember, Brad. I don't know if you remember. I wish we could just play it back, on the show, just to let people hear exactly what I said about the Pat McAfee thing. Okay, I said, man, I thought it was, it looked real to me. That's what it, hey, and people say, man, Book's just playing into this, whatnot. And I'm like, no, I'm not playing into it. I thought it had a real feel to it. And there again, if every guy could go out there and make their stuff on television as real as that looked to me with Pat McAfee and Adam Cole at that moment, man, boom, everything would be gravy. But I said, if it wasn't a work, we'll know about it because, I say give them 4 weeks. And if they haven't done anything on television, we'll know. Remember I said that?
I remember you saying that, yeah.
That's exactly what I said. So I'm not a flip-flopper or anything like that. And I don't want people to think, well, Booker T said something. No, that's exactly what I said. I say, if it is a work, you know what I mean, we'll know within the next 4 weeks. They don't do anything on television. Hey, it's a waste. Nobody get anything out of it.
Right.
There again, man, you got a moment, you take that moment, you capitalize off that moment, and hopefully, it'll lead to something big to, move some numbers, which is, what everybody's trying to do.
Well, and we got to go to break here in just a second, but are you interested in that match? Adam Cole, Pat McAfee, TakeOver 30?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm
I feel too.
I'm not invested in it right now, but I'm like, if Pat McAfee can, I don't know what Pat McAfee got bringing to the table. I don't know a whole lot about Pat McAfee other than he was a kicker, and the last kicker that I ran into in TNA that put my boots on, I was about to whoop his ass. So I don't weigh too much stock in kickers. Hey guys, we're in the Hall of Fame. Stick around. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer, and this is for all up-and-coming professional wrestlers, male and female. You want to know the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts. You got a question, I got the answer. If you want to know how, join my masterclass. Go to realityofwrestling.com for all the information. Starting on Thursday and every Thursday after that, guys. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. And I know you can dig that.
The Academy.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. We just talking it up. As far as the business go. The business goes to a lot. Well, no, go ahead.
I got a question. Wait, what were you talking about from TNA? I thought we did all the tales from the TNA crypt.
Yeah, man.
What do you mean a kicker who put your boots on? What does that mean?
This kicker, man, played for the Texas Titans. What was his name back in 2008?
I'll try to look it up.
Yeah, we was at the Disney tapings, and one of the, a bunch of some of the Texans guys that came over, and the kicker, I can't remember, I think his name started with an M. They were hanging out in the locker room, and we were out in the, the area out where the catering truck was, and we happened to go back in the locker room, and the kicker from the Tennessee Titans, he had my boots on. He was drunk, you know what I mean? He had, I wouldn't say drunk, but he was a little intoxicated. And I was about to kill him. And they had to literally calm me down and whatnot. But one of the, I was like, man, what do you think? Somebody come in your locker room and put your cleats on or put your shoulder pads on. I was really hot about it. But
why did he do it?
Like I say, he was inebriated and he just was wanting to have some fun, and he was a fan, and he saw my boots and he couldn't resist himself and he put my boots on. Yeah. And I want to kill him. I want to. And I was a kicker, man. I'm like this. I think I could whoop all kickers, in the NFL. I don't care who it is. I mean, if it's kicker, the one kicker that might give me a little trouble. Was the kicker for the Raiders for so long? I can't.
I don't know the names of kickers except for Shane Leckler.
No, but he was pretty. That kicker there, he was pretty big. He wasn't no small kicker. He looked like he could play on the line if he wanted to. But no. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Real quick. I want to ask one more thing about this. Not about the kicker so much, but Pat McAfee coming from a different sports world into this one. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, the best sport to sport crossover for like a one-off appearance type thing. Did anybody fit into the pro wrestling business better than one Iron Mike Tyson?
Get into wrestling?
Yeah, like the one who a celebrity athlete coming into the business. I feel like Mike Tyson just did so well in his role when he was a part of DX. He didn't have to wrestle a match, but he just did so well in his role.
I don't know, man. I don't
Rodman too. I got to give Rodman some love.
I don't remember a whole lot about Tyson's run with DX other than him doing the crotch spot. That's about it, you know. But for me, I didn't like that fit. Me personally, I mean, I wasn't a big Mike DX fan. You know, he didn't fit in. You know, because Mike Tyson, you know, I'm all about Mike. I'm all about boxing. I'm all about guys going out there and just boom, being able to wreck shop. And I know Mike Tyson would have beat all them guys up at, you know, put together. You know what I mean? At the same time.
Well, he knocked Sean out at WrestleMania. Just knocked him clean out.
Yeah. But no, man, speaking of Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., the fight of the battle of what shall we call it? The battle of the ages. What? It's got.
I got it. It's a double entendre. You're funny.
No, it's got pushed back to November now. It was scheduled to go off in September. It's not going to go off in September now. It's not going to go off in October. And they're saying that sometime late November. They plan on getting this thing kicked off. Roy Jones Jr. versus Iron Mike Tyson. Me personally. I said it. I think I said it about this fight too. I said, man, I don't know if this thing gonna go off. I think I said that, if I'm not mistaken.
You were doubtful that we'd actually see it, but it still sounds like we're gonna see it just a little bit later than what we wanted.
No. The thing is that okay, that's what they're saying right now. But we know right now one thing, right?
What's that?
There's not one ticket been sold.
That's right.
And
there's no fans.
There's no venue or anything like that. I really feel this is what I feel about the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. thing. Of course, everybody want to see it. If they do it, people are going to pay money. Like I said, it was $49.99. I was already ready to click the button. I was in. They say they had some MMA undercard fights, whatnot. I didn't care who they was. I still was going to check it out. But one thing about Mike Tyson, one thing about Roy Jones Jr., for a fight like this to go off, they're going to need 20,000 fans in an arena watching it, or 10,000. But they're going to need fans in order to make this thing work properly for the both of them. Of course, we're doing this all, you know, for exhibition. There's probably going to be some charity on the line. And how better to make a charity some money, you know, with having a whole lot of fans in the arena paying top dollar to see something like this. I mean, just to be a part of the atmosphere. You know, the ladies are going to want to dress up, you know, put their finest on to go see something like that. Even though, I mean, come on, we've been to fights like this, you know, here in Houston, and the guys, you know, from the nostalgia standpoint, Mike Tyson, man, I beat up all these guys today. Mike Tyson, he gonna be the heavyweight champion. Man, I'm gonna tell you, man, so many people want to see this and not just on television. It's too much money to be lost if Mike Tyson and Roy Jones do not do this in Las Vegas, you know, at the MGM Grand.
I don't disagree. But so you're saying that the fight's still going to happen. We just got to wait for fans, and maybe by late November, they're talking about late October, we might have the vaccine for the first class of people. So maybe by late November.
Wait a minute. Who said that?
I just read it in a report on Twitter. I have nothing to back that up. I just read it on Twitter.
Exactly. I don't want to hear that.
Let me live. Let me live in my dream world.
I'm just saying, you making up stuff. Look, we don't make up stuff on this show.
No, well, they said the people who are in charge, I don't know, the Faucis of the world said, hopefully by the end of October, we can start giving it to the first, what is it called? The healthcare workers. That's what they said. Healthcare workers, then the elderly, then the immune compromised. Maybe we get it in January, the regular folks. That's what I read. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But you're saying we got to wait for fans for this fight. This fight cannot go off without fans.
Yeah. I don't think it can go off without having fans in an arena. I mean, don't nobody want to see. Look, I've been watching boxing, and UFC, with the empty arena. Mike Tyson is too big for that. Mike Tyson is too big to come back and fight in an empty arena. I just feel that Conor McGregor is too big to come back and fight in an empty arena. So I'm not, just putting Mike on a pedestal. I'm talking about when you're a star, that's not the environment that you really want to be fighting in. Guys that fight in that environment, normally they need to fight because they got some bills to pay, dog. You know what I mean? I mean, they need some monies. And the one way they know that they can go out there and do it is, lock up in the cage, dog. Hey, man, I know we got to take a break. I know we got to take a quick break. But we still got a whole lot more to talk about. UFC Fight Night just went down this weekend. Black Beast back in action. Hey, guys, stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Yeah, man. UFC went down this weekend, and some boxing went down. Actually, FS1 just came back as well. That boy Jamal Django James got back in the win column. So I'm loving there again, seeing the fight game getting back to action. But then again, man, it ain't gonna be the same until the fans can get back in there. And the thing is, I'm one of them.
I feel you, and that's why there wasn't boxing and UFC wasn't the only thing that went down this weekend. Something else went down this weekend.
We did have a little something, man.
Yeah, why don't you talk about us making history this weekend?
Reality of wrestling, man. Reality of wrestling. A little small company that we have here down in Houston, Texas. It ain't the biggest company in the world, but we do work hard for our artists, and we put on an awesome show where. Drive-in style, like back in the day where you had to go to drive-in movies and sit out and get the popcorn and you and the lady and have some fun. It was one of those type of deals, man. Where we had the show right there in front of the Booker T World's Gym Arena. Just the backdrop was even cool from an aesthetics perspective, and then the guys, they went out and did their job. But more importantly, I want to thank the Road Nation. Road Nation, you guys get game ball for coming out there and making those young guys, those young girls feel special by literally wading in the hot sun. Another thing too, guys, I want to thank y'all, and I appreciate everybody for social distancing. Everybody had their mask on, family were, located, they might have been sitting on their truck all the way up on top of it with a little bed and everything. But I tell you, for us as a team, Reality of Wrestling, my team, you, Brad, Kevin Bernhardt, as well, and all of my crew, man, I want to thank you guys for them there again, making history. First time we've ever done something like this. And now we said, if it go off well, we will be back next month again, doing it again. And if we have to do it all the way, until things get right, Reality of Wrestling, like it has been for the last 7 years, not missing a show on a weekly basis, being promoted on YouTube or Fight TV. We are back, and we are going to continue right where we left off. The Reality of Wrestling reboot is real. And there again, I want to thank everybody for making it possible.
I mean, take a look. This is a picture I took during the setup of the show. and while people were starting to finally pull in and park. But just to give people an idea, this was about maybe, I don't know, a third of the cars that were there. We had a lot more show up, before when the show actually started.
You get the Winnebago in there, man. But
Yeah.
we actually were in the Winnebago.
I mean, I have a video. Maybe I'll find it and put it on Twitter. But Booker and I got to do commentary from his Winnebago. And what was really cool is people who were in their cars could tune into a certain radio station and hear our commentary live to the show. It was literally like an old school drive-in movie theater, just with wrestling. It was awesome. It was so awesome. It was cool to see people. They would back their trucks up and then have like lawn chairs in the back of their trucks with their masks on and their beers and whatever else, sitting watching the show. Kids were sitting on top of their own cars to sit and watch the show. It was such a really cool thing to do for the community, but also for the reality wrestling.
No, man. It was something that was really, really cool. Something that I think we could really make huge. I'm talking about special. I got a chance to go to the gathering back in the day.
Gathering the Juggalos.
Yeah, the Juggalos, man. I got a chance to go in, and I wrestled at I don't know, I think it was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Against Tracy Smothers. But I tell you, man, it was so many people out there, man. It was packed. It was jam-packed, 25,000 people on that property that day. And we had so much fun. And I was like, man, could we create something like the gathering right here with Reality of Wrestling? Because, of course, we got the inside, but just having the outside park car show, I think that right there from a carnival almost atmosphere perspective, if things were totally right, we could still do it and make it even bigger than it was this time. During Hog Wild, Sturgis, South Dakota, they just had the bikers rally there just a couple of days ago. 250,000 people showed up.
The bikers said, the hell with the COVID.
The hell with the COVID. We going with it. I know how exciting and entertaining those shows actually can be. The Bash at the Beach, stuff like that we actually did, when we were on the beach, I remember doing a show in Colorado. I'm sorry, not in Colorado, in Big Bear, California, out in the snow. We had the snow bunnies, everything. It was nuts. It was one of the most fun times I ever had, having a show outside. I can't believe imagine wrestling in outside in the snow, but it was really, really cool. So I've had experiences with these outside shows that really, really go well. And of course, I've had some experiences like with WCW Live TV where it rained us out and we still had to go wrestle right in the rain. But that's a rarity. But I really think we can make this thing special. It was special. I think we can make it even more special.
It was awesome. I honestly believe it's only a matter of time before, companies like AEW or WWE or Impact or anybody else, Ring of Honor, I think everyone's going to do the drive-in show until we can have people back in the buildings, nose to nose with each other, 25, 30,000 people doing these smaller shows in parking lots, or we talked about WWE doing something on a beach.
Well, I'll tell you right now, man, can you imagine the drive-in movie that WWE could put on? Can you imagine that? The drive-in theater show, call it whatever you want, but have cars packed in like crazy. Everybody's social distance because they're on their own little island outside, big movie theater screens, that could be nuts. Them actually being able to do something like that. And there again, they have the manpower, they have the machine behind them to actually be able to pull something off like that. And for them to do it, it would definitely be pulling the trigger to, getting people back to the wrestling, unlike it was before, but totally different, but everybody having fun and everybody safe at the same time.
Is it weird that I kind of enjoyed the drive-in show more than a normal show? I really enjoyed. Well, first of all, because we had A+ accommodations in the Winnebago
as well. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We didn't have to be out in that heat.
We didn't have to be in the heat.
We we had to be out there in that heat, man, and we would not have liked that show at all. We'd have been like, "Nah, screw this. I'm done." You know. But big.
That was the first. It was the first question I had for Kevin Bernhardt, our director, when he told me, "Hey, we're going to do the show outside." I said, "Well, where are Book and I going to be sitting?" Because I don't want to be in the heat in a suit. You know what I mean? It was hot, let alone being outside. But I can only imagine the production that WWE could put on. Oh God, that'd be awesome.
No, man, I really think I've seen, you know, the show like Forester's done in New York City where we had the Statue of Liberty in the arena, and it was almost as big as the Statue of Liberty. Remember the one show we did we did in Florida where they had these huge palm trees. They were like so big, they were like huge, and I was like, "Boy, you guys taking these palm trees?" And I heard that I think Pat Patterson or something got one of those palm trees in his front yard. Oh man, I wanted one so bad, man. I swear, man, I wanted one of those palm trees so bad that I never got around to, you know, trying to find out, man, who can get me what I probably would have had to have it shipped or something. That probably would have cost me 10 grand.
Yeah, at least.
But I swear, man, it did being here in Houston, man, a storm would have probably came through and blown it over, and it would have crashed into my house or something. And, you know,
I didn't mean for palm trees to be here in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, it was serious, man. It was serious, but I definitely wanted one. But and the ground, they had this stuff on the ground to where these mats were white. So from high in the sky, they had the palm trees with the white mats. It looked like sand. Oh man. So just the thought process to go into that right there, I was like, man, that's cool right there. I probably would have put black mats in there to mess the whole flavor up, you know. But I swear, man, I can only imagine, you know, what they could do with a drive-in show, especially like I say right now. It would be the safest way to get fans out there to have that feeling. Like, I mean, because it was pretty loud out there.
It was loud. And then we would say on the commentary headsets, hey, honk your horns if you're having a good time. And people would start, you know, honking their horns.
It's like
it was great. I think we lost Book for a second. There he is. Book, you with me?
Yeah, you didn't lose me. I was just looking down, checking out my car.
Oh, okay.
No, I was talking about with Hog Wild. We lost you a minute ago. What are you talking about? But Hog Wild, man, the guys would rev their motorcycles up. You know what I mean? When the heat was going, you know, to try to get the baby face back into it. You know, so that was really, really cool back in the day. But yeah, man, we definitely plan on doing it again next month. Hopefully everything went out safe and my guys come back safe and healthy. And we'll be right back out there again, guys. Support reality of wrestling. Go to realityofwrestling.com. Get all the info and whatnot. Hey, guys, stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame.
How the hell are you doing?
Hey, man, I was doing my research. Man, I was doing a little research on my head, man. But what's going on, man? We back in.
All I heard was martial arts. That's all I heard.
Martial arts. Yeah, man. I was watching one of my favorite martial arts movies came on this weekend. The 5 Deadly Venoms. Man, if you've never seen the 5 Deadly Venoms, guys, I mean, we're finna get ready to talk about some UFC Fight Night in a sec. But if you've never seen the 5 Deadly Venoms, you got to check it out, man. It's one of the best Shaw Brothers productions karate movies you ever want to see. You know, if you're in New York, they got a lot of little spots and you can pick up a copy of it, you know, anything, man. But check it out. Trust me, I'm not steering you in the wrong direction.
The Five Deadlies. But what did you think, man? I guess this was a last minute fight because when we were doing the drive-in show, you and I were watching, I think, that DC Stipe 2 fight.
Yeah.
Huh?
No,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, we were watching that. And then all of a sudden, I completely didn't know that Derek Lewis and Kelly Olynyk were going to be fighting in the main event.
Yeah. Actually, I knew about that fight. It's been built for, a minute.
I didn't hear about it. I don't know how that
it wasn't last minute at all. Olynyk definitely has been on a run.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he wanted to get back in there and try to keep things going. Guy's 43 years old, man. He's no young cat. You know what I mean? He seemed like he's had 1,000 fights, but he still seemed to be able to go out there and pull off a victory somehow with one of those chokes.
Remember he beat Fabricio Verdum just what was that, a month ago?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He definitely getting right back. Maybe 2 months ago, maybe
2 months ago. Yeah.
But he's one of those guys that have been on a roll and say, man, I might as well ride this wave right now. Pick these checks up while they're there. And if I can get a win, boom, I'm going to go out there and get a win. But I tell you, man, Derek Lewis has improved and he's made strides like, I've never seen a guy in that sport make. I'm serious. I've seen a lot of big guys come along that you thought was going to be something, and they're getting pushed and they're getting the rocket put on them, and then, kind of like a Greg Hardy, but they haven't done anything to get that. I remember we had Derek Lewis on the show, and he said, man, I don't want no titles. I ain't looking for no title shot. All I want to do is pay my house off, and I'll be good. And I say that because motivation comes in many, many forms. And for this man right here, paying his house off and taking care of his family is more important than any championship that he could ever put, any belt that he could ever put around his waist. And that has catapulted him to want to be better every time he goes out. And I watched Derek Lewis, like I say, grow leaps and bounds as far as his stand-up, as far as his wrestling go, and more importantly, especially in this last fight, his cardio. Yeah. I mean, and then again, also you look at his body, he's definitely been focusing on, not getting ready, but staying ready. He's trimmed down. He's not fat anymore. He's not that big fat guy out there that's just throwing punches.
Right.
Lewis is probably, perhaps one of the most dangerous heavyweights in the UFC. And I tell you, that fight that he had with Cormier, I tell you, man, I'm sure that only made him a better fighter. And it definitely padded his bank account at the same time. So I see nothing but good things happening for Derek Lewis going forward.
You know what? I agree with you 100%. Now, if we pull up this is his last few fights, right? It was sort of right after the Francis Ngannou fight. And then I remember watching that Alexander Volkov fight with you. We get into the third round. Derek Lewis is losing the entire time.
Blown up.
He was blown sky high, hadn't won a single round, and then out of nowhere, last 25 seconds or whatever it was of the third round, knocks Alexander Volkov out in tremendous fashion. And of course, that was his infamous "My balls was hot" promo that he did afterward, and that got him the title shot with Daniel Cormier. Lost to JDS, but then being a guy like Latifi and then Olynyk, those are two really good wins. I don't know. The heavyweight division is such that there's only 4 or 5 guys who really are discussed at all. Derek Lewis could find himself back in a title shot, which I never thought that he would again. I thought after that DC loss, I was like, that's probably his only title shot. But when you look at it, DC's going to retire. John Jones said, I'm sitting out until they pay me more money, so he's probably not going to be going to heavyweight anytime soon. At the time where we saw this Derek Lewis DC fight. Brock was still talking about coming back. That's not going to happen. Stipe might be out too. So really, you got Francis Ngannou, and who else? You know, Kane's gone.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah.
You know, Derek Lewis could find himself back in title contention, and we could see a rematch to one of the worst fights in UFC history of Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou now for a title. It's possible, and I think it's only a year off.
Yeah, but I honestly think also if we see a Derek Lewis Francis Ngannou fight, we're going to see a totally different fight than we saw the first time as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it'll be a sleeper on the second time around, just because a lot will be weighing in on that fight as far as, you know, the media, as far as, you know, the boss is going to be looking. And that right there is going to motivate those guys to want to go out there and fight a totally different fight. Definitely somebody's going to get knocked out in a fight like that if those two guys go out, Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis, go out there and throw hands and just let everything fly. Somebody has to go to sleep, and I'm talking about quick. It can't be a 3-round or a 5-round or anything like that. But yeah, you're right. Derek Lewis is setting himself up to be, you know, right back in that title picture, especially if you know, especially if a DC win, a rematch. You know, that would be huge. I'm sure that would be
done no matter what, though.
Well, you know what I mean, but you know what? I'm speculating, and I'm not going to speculate. DC is going to retire, especially if it's some money on the table for him. He said he was retired, you know, already. Then he come back again. So when guys retire and break that code one time, you can never ever trust them again. Look at me. All right, I'm serious, man. How many times I've said I'm retired? How many times? And then every time, you know, I'm thinking about somebody giving me a phone call. What do you need me to do? What do you want? It's one of those type of deals.
Let's look though real quick at the top 5 or 6 guys here in the UFC heavyweight division. Obviously, right now Stipe is the champion, but here's your top 5: Daniel Cormier, Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blades, Derek Lewis is right there, number 4, JDS, and Rosenstruck. Rosenstruck's number 6. That's kind of surprising. Alistair Overeem, who's actually a guy who just went out there and got a win against Walt Harris, right? So who would you like to see? Let's say Stipe retains the title. Out of that top 6 or 7, who do you think gets the next title shot? Is it Francis?
Francis would be
he should get the next title shot.
Francis would be the marquee guy to put in that position and get a title shot, no matter whether, you know, who win that fight, because, you know, there again, rematch with Stipe would definitely be a money fight for the UFC as far as the heavyweight title picture goes. Curtis Blades says his stocks definitely went down after his last fight, big time. Derek Lewis would be number 2 in my estimations as far as being the guy that would, you know, get the title shot if Francis Ngannou didn't get it. So yeah, and the thing is, I could see that happening because, you know, Francis Ngannou, especially if Stipe wins, Francis Ngannou already had a shot. You know, get Derek Lewis a shot. We knew exactly what was going to happen with Derek Lewis. The Black Beast and Cormier. We knew that. We knew.
Right.
Perspective, but in a fight with Stipe Miocic, Black Beast, Derek Lewis, stand up. Pretty much relatively, you know, can go toe-to-toe with a guy like Stipe. I think his wrestling has come up to a point to where I don't think that would be a problem for him as well. I think the biggest problem would be cardio, if anything. I think that would be the number 2 guy, perhaps the number 1 guy.
I like Ngannou next, and then why don't we do Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades? And winner of that's next in line. I think Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades could have a good matchup with one another.
Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades, yeah. I mean, of course, Blades is going to try to wrestle.
Right.
He's going to try to go to this wrestling game. But I really think, you know, just watching, I watched that fight again just last night with Black Beast with Derek Lewis and Olenek. And I tell you, man.
I like the Olenek. I called him Kelly Olenek. That's a NBA player, my bad.
He handled Olenek from a ground perspective, like I've never seen anybody really handle Olenek. I've seen Olenek on the bottom and still be able to maneuver. But with Derek Lewis, he seemed like a fish out of water in certain positions. All he did was just get hit, just got hit, and he was getting hit hard. And finally, he relented, almost like the Irishman Conor McGregor when he was going against Khabib Nurmagomedov, when he just threw his hands up and looked at the referee and said, please help me, one of those type of deals. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the way. I know that's your countryman, man. I know that's your countryman.
My countryman.
But man, what else we got, man? What else we got?
Well, we got to take a break, so we got to come back after this. More inside the Hall of Fame right after this.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer, and this is for all up-and-coming professional wrestlers, male and female. You want to know the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts. You got a question, I got the answer. If you want to know how, join my masterclass. Go to realityofwrestling.com for all the information. Starting on Thursday and every Thursday after that, guys. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. And I know you can dig that.
The Academy.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, man. Hey, I'm serious. I'm dead serious about checking out that masterclass, guys. Every Thursday night, we're normally on Zoom and Wrestling 101, taking you guys down the experience of what the art of Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet really is. You get a chance, join me. Go to realityofwrestling.com, get your information. So our session is really cool. We normally overlay a match from the past as well as a match from the day, and let you guys get a feel of the experience of what the guys did back then compared to what the guys are doing today, and we try to merge the two and make beautiful music. Next week I'm going to be off because I got some work I got to do, but the next Thursday I'm sure we'll be right back in, or we might change the day up. I got a great match from the past that I want you guys to look at, and it's Shawn Michaels versus the Nature Boy, Buddy Landale. Such an awesome match, man. I know you thought I was talking about Ric Flair right there, but the Nature Boy, Buddy Landale. I was watching on Twitter, and they did a little montage of the match, just the highlights. And they did it to like the old wide world of sports music. And I was like,
Oh, that's dope.
Oh man, it was so awesome, man. The stuff was so awesome. Watching these two guys go out there and just perform. And Buddy Landale, people don't realize, maybe even remember Nature Boy Buddy Landale, but he was an awesome wrestler. And definitely going to take you guys back with that match. And definitely I'm going to have a new school match we're going to watch also. And then we'll critique it. You guys have your questions and we'll go over. Hopefully I can give you the answers that you're looking for, because normally 9 times out of 10, if someone tell you a certain way, you'll recognize it. Then they may be able to explain it slightly a different way, and you might recognize it that way. So just join me, guys, and we're going to have some fun.
Absolutely. I mean, I've gotten to see some of the footage from the master classes. I've actually gotten to see you teach classes, sit around and sit under the learning tree and just listen and absorb. And it's definitely worth the price of admission. And, we were talking about him earlier. So I just saw this. This just dropped on Twitter. So I got to get your reaction. We were talking about that Adam Cole, Pat McAfee linking up, Takeover 30. It's going to be a big.
They postponed that too.
They didn't postpone it. No. Pat McAfee has shared some of his training footage. Would you like to see this?
Please.
Okay, well, let's look at it right now. And I want you to commentate over this as we look at it.
I got to just look at it. All right, let me look at it.
So look at that. Nice little moonsault there by Pat McAfee. Landed flat.
All right.
Swanton bomb. landed nice.
Yeah.
Look at that. The man's an athlete. I'm actually impressed by what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I gotta say, he looking pretty good. I must say, the guy, he's in shape. You know what I mean? The thing is, he probably never took a hit in his life when he was playing football, so he might be in pretty good shape, for all I know.
Well, he's looking pretty decent right
Yeah,
now.
he did a nip up. I think he did a nip up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, anytime you can do a nip up, you're in pretty good shape. I tried to do one just last week, and I'm still hurt.
So I gotta say, he looks pretty good, Book. What is he saying?
We got 12 days to get ready for another match with what some people are calling the next best wrestler of all time. I ain't worried about that, though. I eat that fucker for breakfast.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Sorry about that. Didn't know there was any profanity. We'll cut that out later. But what I was actually pretty impressed by what we just saw from Pat McAfee.
No, I was impressed. I must say
You remember, and I want to get your reaction, but you remember it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We were at the Guitar Center right when we were moving into the new World Gym Arena. We were picking out parts, me, you, and Kevin, and then we saw a video drop from Ronda Rousey training in the wrestling gym. We sat there in Guitar Center. We watched it on the phone, and you said, "Hey, she actually looks pretty good. Like she looks like she's been working on it."
Yeah,
I have a similar reaction to Pat McAfee right there. I am a little bit impressed.
No. I mean, I'm gonna give him props. I ain't gonna sit here and say it didn't look, halfway decent. You know what I mean? He looked like he could actually perhaps get in there and do something. You never know. I mean, come on. I mean, Lawrence Taylor, he wasn't a great wrestler or anything, but he went out there and he made us believe. Pat McAfee, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about Pat McAfee. One thing I could say about guys most of the time, and like I ask most guys, especially trying to get in this business, have you ever been in a fight? Before, and they go, I had a match. I go, no, a real fight. And most football players, no matter even if they're a kicker, they've been in a few scraps in their lifetime, even if it's with the opposing team's kicker. You know what I mean? They've normally been in a little bit of something, so especially like when they were in high school, because even if they were the kicker, they was probably on, punt returns. They was probably on, something back or something,
I think Pat McAfee played soccer before going to football, I believe.
Yeah. And, soccer players, they get in a lot of fights.
What? Well, what here's the thing. Here's a comment from Franklin Goodwin. Pat McAfee is better than Gronk. You know what?
That might be true.
That might be true.
That might be true right there, because Gronk did not look like he had the the ability to be a professional wrestler. Football, A1.
Or the best ever at his position.
Professional wrestling, it did not look like he wanted to party too much. He's a party guy. He wasn't that crazy. He wasn't that stupid and whatnot. So yeah.
I had heard that during the WrestleMania taping, he didn't want to Gronk, and this is alleged, but he didn't want to do the dive off the little
I heard
there onto the guys. So I heard Vince actually did it to show him that it was okay. Vince at 75 was like, "I'll show you, damn it!" And he jumped off onto the guy.
Right now. I mean, I'm not going to hate on him, for not doing that. I'm not going to say that didn't make him.
Because you wouldn't want to do it either.
I wouldn't. I remember we had a big deal with Fox back in the day for SmackDown, and we had to go do a big commercial shoot, and they had this big Fox like float, and they wanted me to jump off of it onto something, and I go, "Y'all better go find Rey Mysterio." Say, I'm not jumping off anything.
You gotta be out of your damn mind.
You got a crash pad. I mean, I said, I don't care. I said, I don't jump off stuff, And man, they was totally in shock, you know what I mean, by me saying that. But I know this is our last segment, but we got a lot of questions, man.
We got one more after this.
Oh, okay, my bad. I don't know what
you're good.
Got the chicken on. I put that chicken on. I'm thinking about the food.
You're hungry. But you never answered my question earlier about what was the best athlete into wrestling. You said not Mike Tyson, but who was the best other? Was it Lawrence Taylor? You've said stuff about LT before. Dennis Rodman, I think, fit in like a hand to a glove.
You know what, man? If I had to say which guy could have been a professional wrestler if he would have started at, before he started playing ball, and he would have been I'm talking about a top guy, one of the greatest big men that ever, dawned the square circle, and that's Karl Malone. Karl Malone was actually really talented. He had, charisma. He looked like he could have really played that role big time as one of the big, great big men in professional wrestling, if he wouldn't have been a great basketball player. Just because when he did do a little bit in WCW, Karl Malone actually looked like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he did. And he was shredded.
And he
the guy was jacked.
Yeah, he was jacked. He didn't look that big on the basketball court.
No.
Yeah, man, that guy was jacked. I mean, he looked great, and he really could have been a huge star in professional wrestling if he would have chose to go that route. Because, like I say, Dennis Rodman was a gimmick. You know what I mean?
You want to talk about someone who had the swagger to be in pro wrestling? Dennis had swag. Dennis
wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes in professional wrestling if Eric Bischoff wouldn't have been behind him. He would have been too drunk. He'd have been one of the. I'm gonna tell you, Dennis Rodman was a mess when he was in WCW. He was blitz half the time. He was out there. Go.
Was he the only one in the WCW locker room who was like that?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. It was kind of like the movie The Wrestler in a sense, as far as that goes. But nah, man. But still, that didn't make it right for him. Just because the other guys could work on it. They didn't still perform pretty good. But Dennis Rodman, he used to be overkill, man. He used to be overkill. They treated him like they treated Dennis Rodman like Michael Jackson in WCW. I'm serious. The Office, they treated that man like he was Michael Jackson, man.
Well, he was huge at the time.
I was just going to say, at the time, Dennis Rodman, he hadn't lost his steam just yet. He was playing basketball and wrestling at the same time. You know what I mean?
During the NBA Finals.
Exactly. So, hey man, now big props to Dennis Rodman. But as far as the wrestler go, I will give the nod to Karl Malone wherever he's at. Man, I heard Karl Malone right now drives a truck around the country. That's his job now, and he doesn't do it because he needs the money. He just do it because he loves driving. It's crazy.
I saw a recent interview of him, and I don't know. He seems a little off. He seemed like he got a little crazy. I
haven't seen the interviews, but
long, scraggly gray beard, and he doesn't look like Carl. He doesn't look like the mailman anymore.
I'm gonna tell you, man. After you live that life for so long, sometimes you just want to not be seen or heard, talk to anyone ever again. I can relate to that. Can you imagine we just talked about Michael Jackson. Can you imagine being Michael Jackson? Can you imagine living that life and having to, have that weight on your shoulders for forever? But hey guys, stick around. We still got a little bit more for you. We'll be back in a minute.
The Academy.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. About to wrap this thing up, but we still got a little bit more for you. And like I was saying, Brad, we got a ton of questions.
We did. We had a lot from the TNA stuff a lot of last week. And if you want to ask Booker T a question live right here in our last segment, just hit us up in our chat feature right now. We might highlight your question. So get him in right now before we have to wrap up. But we're talking about football players, wrestlers, basketball, going to wrestling. I was watching, I don't know why, but after our TNA talks, I wanted to go back and watch old TNA. And I told you I watched the old Victory Road pay-per-view, and then I watched Bound for Glory 05. And there was a guy who I had completely forgot about, who I thought was great. And that is the alpha male Monty Brown.
Yeah.
Do you remember Monty Brown book, The Alpha Male Monty Brown? I thought that he was actually really, really good.
Yeah, it was some talks about Monty Brown just last week. As far as guys that perhaps they may want to bring back just from a reunion standpoint. And Monty Brown's name actually came up. And Monty Brown, at this time, he's one of those guys that, came in the wrestling after playing football and put in a lot of time on the gridiron. And then next thing you know, he's in professional wrestling. He wasn't the youngest guy in the locker room or anything like that. And then he started getting.
He's in his 50s now, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's like I say, he's been around. But he'd say, man, he's past that. He didn't want to do it or anything like that. But yeah, man, the pounce,
Pounce.
I mean, we put the pounce on the map, Monty Brown. And I thought he was a very, very entertaining guy for the short span that he was in the business. He made a relatively big impact, I must say, no pun intended. But yeah, he made a huge impact, and I like Monty Brown.
I really was a fan of him.
Pointed out like that, you know what I mean? That's what the point.
And he would do like that, thing where he like goes at the camera, and he had a promo with Jeff Jarrett where he was but he was good on the mic too. He wasn't just a in-ring guy. Like on the mic, he was great. He said, you're gonna know who the predator of this Serengeti jungle is, and you're gonna feel the bounce. And he did that thing. I was like, man, this guy was great. And then I went back and read some stuff about him, and I don't know why it didn't work for him in WWE. He came into WWE as
WWE for a minute.
Marcus Corvon was his name. And he wasn't really doing the alpha male gimmick. I think if he did the alpha male Monty Brown in WWE, he would have been over like Rover, man. I really liked him a lot.
Yeah, man. He's one of those guys, like I say, he made a big impact for relatively very short career and impact. And then, to go over to WWE for a minute. And then I don't know what happened with his career. I never met him. He's one of the guys.
Really?
No, yeah, he's one of the guys that have been out there for, some time, on the circuit. And he's one of the guys that I've never run across. Out of all these years, I've never met New Jack.
What?
Yeah.
You've never met New Jack?
No, I've never met New Jack.
It seems like y'all would have been in a room somewhere at some time.
Like we would have been in a room somewhere, someplace, sometime. We've never, but then again, I think I might have met him once way back in WCW. But we didn't spend any time. It was a meeting. Maybe we was at the same hotel, I think in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Dungeon, the Ramada Inn or something like that. And if it wasn't him, I'm 100% sure that I met Mustafa.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the other gangsters.
Exactly. I know I met Mustafa. Just can't remember if New Jack was with him or not. I just don't remember ever meeting New Jack at all.
Oh, that's weird. But you know what? I'd like to try to reach out to Monty Brown and have him on the show. Because I think that he's got a hell of a story. Because he played for the Patriots, I think, in the 90s or something like that. I mean, he had a legit football career, but his wrestling career could have been so much bigger. Make sure y'all get all these questions here in the chat. I'm looking for a couple here. I'm trying to find a nice question here. I'm sorry. I'm coming up. Oh, well, people were talking about LT, Lawrence Taylor. We've talked about Lawrence Taylor a lot on this show. I mean, he was great in that one match. I don't know if there have been any more out of LT though. I don't think I would have seen any more out of LT. I think one match was good.
No, one match. You didn't want to see nothing. I mean, he would have messed it up after that one match.
Now this is something that I did see earlier that while we wait for some questions to come in, I wanted to get your reaction to Bully Ray on his radio show, the Busted Open Radio, said that they need to retool and repackage and rebuild Shane.
You broke up on me right there. You broke up. I'm not sure exactly what you said right there, but your lips are still, perched up like, you want to get someone. But go ahead.
I'm having internet issues. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But Bully Ray said that they need to rebuild Shayna Baszler. He said, I don't want to see her in any competitive matches right now. I just want to see her go out there, squash a bunch of people, and reassert her dominance on Monday Night Raw. Do you agree with that? Do you think that she needs to rebuild?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I'm not exactly sure what they should do with Shayna Baszler. But one thing about it, I don't agree with. You can't, pull the trigger and then, like they say lately, you can't put the ketchup back in the bottle. I'm like, come on. Once it's out, it's out. You know what I mean? I understand that. And that's one of those things. We've seen Shayna Baszler on a hot track. And then next thing boom, we cool her down. You can't, you can't do that, with steel and expect for it to, get the right form. You got to heat it up properly, you know what I mean, and cool it down a little bit, and then heat it up a little bit even more, cool it down, and then heat it to a temperature, well past the samurai blade feel, you know what I mean? So I just feel like with Shayna, she got the tools. And I say that because I was a guy that was on the fence with Shayna Baszler. I was like, man, I don't know if Shayna can go out here and pull it off. But then the last wrestling match I saw it with Shayna Baszler, I said, man, she's pretty good. You gotta be able to stick with that and run with it if you're gonna pull the trigger on it with something like that, with someone like Shayna Baszler, because it's one of those deals, sink or swim. It's gonna be on you, Shayna. But we're gonna give you the ball, and it's gonna be up to you whether you score with it or not. You got to put her in that position and see if she's gonna, blink or not. That's the only way, one is gonna make it today in this business.
And this is something else I wanted to throw at you, and I think you're 100% right about Shayna. And I think sometimes too many people want to say, "Oh, well, we've seen this before. Well, they need to repackage her, or they need to do something else with this person, or do something with this person," instead of just saying, hey, why don't we just see where it goes? Let's just see where it goes. It's the wrestling fans today, though. I wanted to ask you, because on WWE on Fox's Twitter account, they asked a question earlier today that I saw a lot of people commenting on. I want to get your reaction to it. Who has been, in your opinion, for Monday Night Raw, the MVP of the quarantine era? To you, out of all the people who we've seen kind of come and go during this quarantine era, who do you think is the MVP of this era? When we look back on it, we'll be like, oh, I remember these shows because of so-and-so.
Well, right now, I think, even though it's been a short time, I think MVP in the Hurt Club.
The Hurt
Business. I think those guys, I think MVP has made a bigger splash in the COVID era just because of he's been going out and creating some really, really good drama and not having to do anything to create it other than just go out and speak and talk, and I go, he's making me remember everything. I remember, honestly, I think I remember this career so much more than I did his first career.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm not saying that just because I really feel like this time he's in a groove. And if I had to give it to anybody, it would be him, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, and then last question before we got to wrap the show up. What do you think of the new faction, Retribution?
I don't know about it yet until I see more. Until I see more of the Retribution and what is really. I've seen them blow up something, right?
Right. Yeah, they threw Molotov cocktails at the power generator.
And what else we're seeing?
And then they stormed the ring on SmackDown.
Yeah.
There were comments based on like the size of the guys. People are trying to figure out who it is.
I need to see more, I need to see more before I can really comment on it. But one thing I do want to comment on before we get out of here, as Lance Storm, he made a quote about they should abolish intergender wrestling. And he got a lot of heat on social media because of saying it from so many people. And I just want to say, I second that emotion as far as definitely abolishing intergender wrestling. I don't think it does a whole lot for female wrestlers. Intergender wrestling, I say this, if it's to ever be done from an independent level, for women to be able to get a little bit more training, because there's less women out there working at a top level or a better level. They can get a lot of practice in working with guys. But as far as intergender wrestling ever making it to a big stage in professional wrestling. I think it would screw everything up. And I've stated my opinion on men wrestling women earlier this year with Tessa Blanchard and whatnot. I didn't agree with that, even though I agree with Tessa Blanchard's talent. I didn't agree with the company's decision. And I just want to say, Lance Storm, I agree with you 100% as far as this go. Hey, man, we got to get up out of here Wednesday. We're going to be right back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. Want to thank y'all for sticking around and hanging out with us, Brad. Again, appreciate you for, fueling this ship, bro. But we got to get up out of here, guys, next week. Actually, 2 days, same place, same time. We up out of here.